We're live. Facebook, welcome to Voices of Courage. Today in studio with me is Dr. Natasha Todorovic. Say that. How do you say that?
Natasha Todorovic-Cowan.
It's a
mouthful, I know.
Great. So Natasha's in studio. We're getting ready to go. We're going to be talking about the courage to consciously create your life and the keys to success. Todd, let's go.
We'll be back with more Voices of Courage with Ken D.
Well, we're almost there. Todd, let's go. We're live radio today.
Solar flares.
Solar flares.
Voices of Courage is sponsored by Ken D. Foster.
It's time to take a journey to find your courage, break through your limits, and master your destiny. It's time for Ken D. Foster's Voices of Courage. Ken brings you some of the most courageous people on the planet that will inspire greatness within you and change your life for the better. It's time to see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible. It's time for Voices of Courage. And here's your host, Ken D. Foster.
Well, welcome to Voices of Courage. Hey, I really want to thank you for tuning in. You know, Voices of Courage is more than just another radio program. It actually takes you on a journey to find your own courage, break through your limits, and actually master your destiny. How does that sound? That's a big mouthful, isn't it? But we have listeners all the time tuning in and giving us feedback on our blog and letting us know that their lives have been touched. They've been inspired. They've taken their lives to a completely new level just by tuning in. So today, our show is titled Conscious Courage and the Keys to Success. Let me ask you this. Are you ready to solve the riddle of having success not only in your business, but in all areas of your life? Have you wondered what the missing links are to creating lasting success? So I know that life is hectic for so many of us, right? And some of us need to take the lesson to slow down to succeed, right? And it reminds me of a story of a fella that went in to apply for a job, right? So he goes to this employment office, and he walks in. And there's about 20 people already in line, right? Already there. And they're all waiting in chairs. You know, many of them are thinking about what they're going to say in the interview. Some of them are on their cell phones texting. Others are talking to one another, right? You know, as he walks in, he hears this obnoxious music playing in the background. And this guy, he starts to tune into that music. He's like, what is that, right? He's aware of his surroundings. He's aware of his background. He's just being aware and conscious and tuning in. And, you know, as he listens and hears that music in the radio, all of a sudden he pops out of his chair. He runs into the office where they're interviewing, right, ahead of all these other 20 people, right? And the other people sitting in there are going, what is with this guy? How dare him go ahead of us, right? Well, you know, after just a couple minutes, the guy walks back out of the office, and he's been hired. And it's like everybody's like just upset. Why did this guy get hired, right? Well, here's the key. Within that obnoxious music, there were some words being played. And the words were, if you can understand this message, congratulations, you have the job. Now, how many of us would have maybe been the ones texting or thinking about what we're going to say, in the interview, or, thinking about anything but the present moment in that moment, and would have missed the opportunity, just like so many people do, right, of being able to get that job. So, slow down to succeed is a really important concept that I think we all need to have. So let me ask you this. Are you rushing from one task to the next? Are you, sometimes filled with too much stress? Are you moving too fast? Is your health at risk? You know, a complex life is only pleasing to the senses and the ego. But realize what living in the stress lane is actually causing you. Because there's a price to pay if you get caught up in it. And whether it be the next job promotion, the next car, the next house, the next relationship, you know, what is the price that you're paying to move so fast through life? You know, is it economic slavery, right? Are you working somewhere that you don't want to be working, but, you know, you feel that, you know, you haven't slowed down enough to, right, take the time to get to understand who you are, what you're all about, so that you can, your strengths and your weaknesses, so that you can take the time and put together the right resume to take your life to the next level, right? Or are you sitting in a corporate environment right now and you're being called to step up to the next level, right? And, you know, you may be the person that hires people to come into the organization, and you're a little intimidated by some of the trainers that you've had in the past, for instance, okay? And so you're worried about, wow, what will people say? What'll happen if I bring this person in? But, you know, all of this creates dis-ease, lack of freedom, dissensions in our own self and our own being if we don't step into that which we're called to do. But we can't step into that if we're going 90 miles an hour. We just, you know, because here's what happens. You miss the joy of life. You miss your friends. You miss your family. You miss the beauty in nature. You miss the connection with your soul, with your spirit. So if you're running from task to task, one thing to another, it's time to slow down. That's kind of my message today, right? It's time to slow down. Because why? This show is about helping you see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible. Now, how can you see the unseeable, which, you know, is a lot of times it's what's going on within our own self, right? If you're going 90 miles an hour, you just can't do it. This is why training, workshops, coaching, mentoring is so important. Time away from your fast-paced life so you can stop, tune in, get advice, get some wisdom, get some understanding as to how yourself or your organization you can really take it to the next level. You know, there's an old saying, if you don't plan to succeed, you're really planning to fail, right? So it does take that time to tune in. So let me ask you this. Who are you? Who are you really? You know, this isn't who you are, your things. You know, at one point in my life, I thought I was my hair. I thought I was my car. I thought I was my girlfriend. I thought I was my house. I thought I was my clothes. Boy, that was a tough place to live from. Because I was always trying to please somebody outside myself and get some kind of social proof that I was okay, instead of tuning in and allowing myself to understand who I am, past my accomplishments, past my memories, you know, who I was and what I stood for. So maybe it's time to get back in business and in your personal life to your core values, such as what? Well, how about caring, right, for yourself and your organization, those people that are in it? How about candor? You know, I don't think there's enough candor in the world. I think that we go along and we just tell people whatever they want to hear, right, to please them a lot of times. Or we rationalize within our own lives things that we think are working, but they're really not working at all. Or we're too afraid to step up and tell somebody, you know, hey, listen, man, I've got a boundary here. You can't be in my life here, right? Or you can't treat me this way. Or, you know, we need to step up and change the culture in this organization because this organization is not working the way that we want it to work, right? So I think it's time to step back just for a moment. Maybe today's the day where you re-engage yourself at a deep level. You know, you start to maybe take a few breaths in, even right now if you're driving down the street. Take a deep breath in. Tense your body for a second and then just double exhale out. You can do that anywhere. And, you know, this is a way to re-engage with yourself, to start to feel a sense of calmness and belonging to something greater than your overwhelm, all right? I think this is important, right? So think about it. how we show up in life in doing one task is normally how we show up doing all tasks. I have a friend of mine. His name is Randy Smith. And we ride bikes together. We swim. We water ski. We snow ski. We do a lot of things together. He's a good friend, right? So he always asks a question to me, and I pass this on to my coaching clients, you know. And he asks this question. He says, whatever I'm doing, okay, let's say I'm water skiing. He'll ask me, so how is that a lot like your life? Now, he'll always ask me this question when I have probably fallen, or it takes me 3-4 times to get up, right? You know, but he asked me, how is that a lot like your life? He, at one point, he taught me how to barefoot water ski. And it took me 50 tries to get up. 50. I counted them. And, you know, he asked me constantly, how's that a lot like your life? And I thought to myself, it's a lot like my life because I'm very persistent. Once I set my goal on something, when I put my willpower into that focused area, I know I'm gonna pull that in. I'm gonna do it. All right? So I want you to reconnect this week with truth, trust, and courage. You know, practice being a little more accepting to yourself as you slow down, maybe even acknowledge yourself, acknowledge the greatness that you have in your life. Find the courage to slow down. That would be my message this week. Find the courage to slow down. Find the courage to tune in to who you are and what you're all about. Now listen, coming up in my next segment, I have Dr. Natasha Todorovic-Cowan. She's going to be talking to us about something called spiral dynamics, which when you learn the concept, you're going to be blown away because it's going to change how you think permanently. I'll be right back.
We'll be back with more Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster.
Would you like to help someone in need to move from poverty to prosperity? Stars of Courage, a 501c3 nonprofit, is looking for established life coaches with experience in education and career mentorship to build confidence. Join our team of experienced coaches in a wide variety of fields, equipped with warm hearts with a passion for lifting up those in need. Our Stars of Courage. Find out how you can make a difference at starsofcourage.org. That's starsofcourage.org. Attention business owners. The feeling of being overwhelmed, stressed out, and facing difficult business challenges goes hand in hand with being an entrepreneur. But there are solutions, and it's time to explore the possibilities. You work hard as an entrepreneur. Give yourself the break you deserve. Ken D. Foster is the business coach for you. Ken has over 21 years of experience with leaders just like you, who trust to share what is truly going on in their business and that thing called life. You're invited to set up a free confidential consultation with Ken. His wisdom, guided methods, and unique strategies will bring you to new heights and break through obstacles. Visit kendfoster.com to set up your free confidential consultation. It's time to achieve your dreams because you deserve a successful business and a balanced, happy life. Sound great? Find out how to make this happen. Visit kendfoster.com. That's kendfoster.com. kendfoster.com.
Are you feeling stuck or in a holding pattern with your business or life and you're not doing the things you want or love? Then at some point, you're going to be faced with a decision. You'll either choose to keep living in your comfort zone and risk a life of mediocrity, or increase your courage, step into your power, and forge into the unknown, where everything new becomes possible. If you're truly ready to live masterfully, then you need Ken D. Foster's newest book, The Courage to Change Everything, Strategies and Wisdom to Transform Your Life One Day at a Time. This powerful but simple guide provides you with 365 days of life-transforming wisdom, profound questions, and action steps that will increase your strength and open the doors to success. Stop wondering why your business or life isn't working. The answers are available now. Imagine if you had more courage or another chance to start following your dreams. To pick up your copy of The Courage to Change Everything, visit thecouragetochangeeverything.com. That's thecouragetochangeeverything.com.
We're back with Voices of Courage. And now your host, Ken D. Foster.
Well, welcome back to Voices of Courage. So I am so blessed to have some amazing sponsors for this show, and the one I'd like to talk about right now is Women's Wisdom. Women connecting women in friendship and business for over 25 years. It is an organization that was founded by Judy Foster. She happens to be related to me. And I can assure you that these women come from all over California, Arizona, Nevada, sometimes other states. They come because they've heard of women's wisdom, and they want to grow their lives and grow themselves in ways they've not been able to do before. So that's what they come to. So it's womenswisdom.net, and I hope you will join Judy Foster at womenswisdom.net. Okay, this is the time we've been waiting for. I am so excited to have in studio Dr. Natasha Todorovic-Cowan, and she is the CEO of National Values Center Consulting, and she's the owner of the brand Spiral Dynamics. So, whether it is resistance to change, cultures in conflict, strategic partnerships, dysfunctional teams, incongruent leadership, or strategy implementation, Natasha's expertise unravels the people side of the organizational problems. Rooted in 70 years of research and application in mid-market global Fortune 500 organizations and government agencies, Natasha has more than 25 years of experience applying her proprietary spiral dynamics to help organizations and individuals predict hurdles to change. This is amazing. Natasha, welcome to studio.
It is such a treat to be with you here today, Ken. I really love it.
Yeah, well, it is my pleasure, and some of you are on Facebook right now. They can see Natasha. She's in this
Hey guys, how you doing?
beautiful pink top with this gorgeous necklace, and she's got this big smile. And she's been on my other show. She was on Transition Radio with me, so I already know a little bit about what you're up to. But I want my audience to understand a little bit about your background and where you came from and how you got into working in the spiral dynamics.
Oh, well, that's a long story. I finished an MBA. I was excited about organizational change. I'd done a whole bunch of work in neuro-linguistic programming, which means learning how we change. And I wanted to do it a little differently. And I took a spiral dynamics training in Fort Worth, Texas, and I met the love of my life, and it was a partnership made in heaven, and I joined the company and liked it so much I kind of stayed around.
You did. Well, not only did you stay around, you've delivered over 10 Spiral Dynamics certifications, over 50,000 Spiral Dynamics assessments in 8 different languages. You've developed a Spiral Dynamics training and delivered that in over 14 countries and 5 continents around the world. So what does the Spiral Dynamics brand stand for?
Well, I think when people think of spiral dynamics, most of those who have heard of it think of this color code, and they think of a way of taking color blotches and targeting people and just sort of coding them. And for those who are aware of this, that's kind of a misuse and a bit of an abuse, and actually it's very shallow. And for those who are culturally courageous, for those who are connectivity and connection courageous, and for those who are compassion courageous, this takes you into a journey of the self, a journey of relationship to other, and a journey into how we relate as human systems and how we organize. So if you can, the other day I cleaned out my car. Now this will tell you how long I've had this particular vehicle. There was a map. You remember those maps?
Maps?
A map.
Paper map?
It was a book. The entire U.S. in this map book.
I think you can sell those on Amazon as antiques right now. Go ahead.
Right? So on one page, you've got the entire U.S., right?
Yeah.
And then page by page, you've got each state, right?
Right.
And then in those bigger cities, you've got the entire city. So you get to see these connections through our freeways and roads. If we wanted to go here from San Diego to New York, we could plot that out.
Right.
And then if we were just in the state of California, we could plot out how to get from city to city. Or if we're just here in San Diego, we'd figure out how to get from here to the beach, right?
Right.
So these are all about connections. And we can imagine connections by driving from one place to the other. Well, spiral dynamics is about those connections that we make within ourselves, how we think, how we relate to others, how we feel stuff, how we conceptualize the world, and then how we take that and map that over and connect to others.
You know, I love that because, I have clients that come to me and they might say something like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not bright enough. Now, they're driving their whole life around that particular subconscious belief. A lot of times, they'll say it 2 or 3 times and I'll call them on it and they don't even know they've said that.
And they don't even know that they were thinking that. They just said it out loud and you mirrored back to them their process.
Right, exactly. So with spiral dynamics, what I'm hearing is that we can get to know ourselves, we can get to know our environments, we can get to know our connections, we can understand our teams, our organizations from a using the spiral dynamic system. Is that accurate? Or
yeah, absolutely. We've got tools, we've got assessments, we've got a series of interconnected models, and it helps us understand our interdependent selves in a larger interdependent connected world.
That's really good. Okay, so listen, 2016, Gallup did a study on engagement across the United States, right? Companies, corporations, companies across the United States. Here's what they found. 51% of the employees are disengaged, right? Meaning they're not connected to the values, the organizations. They're just going in day to day, right? But another 16% are working actively against the company. Now, this is a Gallup poll, right? So in your research and experiences internationally, you found something similar. Let's talk about that, and then let's talk about the solution to this. Because we're talking, 60+% of people in organizations today, right now, as we're talking, are disengaged. If you're a business owner, you're listening to this, pay close attention.
So, as you know, we've done over 100 spiral dynamics certification trainings around the world. So if I asked you, what do people in Milan and Moscow, in London and Montreal and Los Angeles have in common? And it's this one thing. When we've done our research and we've asked people, managers, trainers, leaders in organizations in our rooms, how many of you put 30 to 40% of your energies into your job? And roughly 75% put their hands up. And then we asked them, how many of your managers and leaders are happy with the effort that you put in? And they said they're 100% happy. So that's a lack of being seen, knowing what the potential is, knowing what the talents are, and how to evoke the very best out of the people that we are with every day.
Wow. Well, you know what? Here's what I get. There are companies that are spending billions of dollars on leadership training, on coaching, and on consulting that does not work. How is spiral dynamics different than that?
So here's the thing. They're spending tons of money because they found an approach that worked in one place at a certain time within a certain context with specific people. And our research shows that if you apply the right leadership approach for the right group and you have congruence, then you're going to be successful. But you can't take that out of context to another space and place with different people and apply those tools and techniques, because what the research shows is that there's a unique way of leading and preferring to be led, a unique way of managing and preferring to be managed, and a unique way of relating and learning within the different systems, and we are human systems, that bring out the very best or the very worst in us. And if we're incongruent, it's not going to work.
So, in United States today, I picture the CEO with the kind of the dark eyes, the intense intensity about him, and he's all about shareholder value. He's all about pleasing the shareholders, and then there's everybody that works for the organization, and they come in, second or third or fourth priority. And I think that needs to be reversed. I think that we have such a disconnect in our organizations that we need to be able to understand the dynamics of what makes the organization, the teams work, the organization work, the people work, and all that connection. Can Spiral Dynamics help us do that?
Absolutely. Well, so here's the thing, Ken. If you had, say $1 million, and you knew you were only getting 30% of the value on that $1 million, and you could get 100%, would that be an investment that you would stick with? No, doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
So why are we doing the same thing with people in our organizations? And the further away we are from different groups and organizations, the lower the trust is. Our research has been showing that as well. And if we step back, like you said in your introduction, step back, pause, think, sense into what is actually happening. And we can do that in the relationships, in noticing talent within our teams, with the people that we're working with.
That's really good. We're at a place in the show where we're going to take a little quick break. But listen, when we come back, I'm going to ask you some of the how do we get the cutting edge components that actually build high performance individuals, high performance teams with collaboration and trust. We'll be right back.
We'll be back with more Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster.
Attention business owners. The feeling of being overwhelmed, stressed out, and facing difficult business challenges goes hand in hand with being an entrepreneur. But there are solutions, and it's time to explore the possibilities. You work hard as an entrepreneur. Give yourself the break you deserve. Ken D. Foster is the business coach for you. Ken has over 21 years of experience with leaders just like you, who trust to share what is truly going on in their business and that thing called life. You're invited to set up a free confidential consultation with Ken. His wisdom, guided methods, and unique strategies will bring you to new heights and break through obstacles. Visit KenDFoster.com to set up your free confidential consultation. It's time to achieve your dreams because you deserve a successful business and a balanced, happy life. Sound great? Find out how to make this happen. Visit KenDFoster.com. That's KenDFoster.com. KenDFoster.com.
Are you feeling stuck or in a holding pattern with your business or life, and you're not doing the things you want or love? Then at some point, you're going to be faced with a decision. You'll either choose to keep living in your comfort zone and risk a life of mediocrity, or increase your courage, step into your power, and forge into the unknown, where everything new becomes possible. If you're truly ready to live masterfully, then you need Ken D. Foster's newest book, The Courage to Change Everything, Strategies and Wisdom to Transform Your Life One Day at a Time. This powerful but simple guide provides you with 365 days of life-transforming wisdom, profound questions, and action steps that will increase your strength and open the doors to success. Stop wondering why your business or life isn't working. The answers are available now. Imagine if you had more courage or another chance to start following your dreams. To pick up your copy of The Courage to Change Everything, visit thecouragetochangeeverything.com. That's thecouragetochangeeverything.com.
Would you like to help someone in need to move from poverty to prosperity? Stars of Courage, a 501c3 nonprofit, is looking for established life coaches with experience in education and career mentorship to build confidence and create clear paths to success. Join our team of experienced coaches in a wide variety of fields, equipped with warm hearts with a passion for lifting up those in need. Our Stars of Courage. Find out how you can make a difference at starsofcourage.org. That's starsofcourage.org.
We're back with Voices of Courage. Your host, Ken D.
Voices of Courage, and you can find us on the web at voicesofcourage.us. Want to let let you know that we're being brought to you by Women's Wisdom, women connecting women in friendship and business for over 25 years. You can find them at www.womenswisdom.net. That's womenswisdom.net. Well, in studio with me right now is Dr. Natasha Todorovic-Cowan, and we are talking about spiral dynamics, and we're also talking about how to find and build high-performance teams, individuals, through collaboration and trust. And, yesterday when we were talking, right, we talked about people blindness. And I got a feeling this ties into this building high-performance people, because if you can't see it, you're not going to change it. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ken. I was tasked to work with a team of senior managers. And one of the guys on that team, and we do assessments, and the assessments give us these really nifty results. And that allows us to help people understand where they're coming from and how to connect more effectively with those that they're working with. And not everybody's open to that feedback. And our assessments came back, and I sat with the leader and said, you're missing the people stuff. So you're really fantastic at the operational stuff. You're really fantastic at getting people to do stuff because they want to please you. But then when they get close to you, you're totally missing it. And some of the stats say that only 33% of managers are people that their teams want to follow. And about 70% of people would rather see their managers fired rather than get a raise. So this guy was exactly in that situation, and we were trying to talk about how do you get more people awareness? How do you slow down? How do you get into that space where you can feel what's going on with them? And he just didn't want to do it because he was too afraid to get into that realm of connection and feelings, and even finding somebody who would compliment him where he was blind.
And I can appreciate that. I mean, honestly, if I'm an operations person and I know operations, I know my numbers, I know, business, I've got to have so much in revenue coming in, I've got so much expenses going out, and I got to make a profit. I got to make a profit for my shareholders. I understand all that. But what you're talking about here is taking those bottom line numbers and actually, I listened to the chairman of WD-40 the other day, okay? And he took the bottom line numbers, and he went from a $250 million company when he took over to a $2 billion company. Now, how did he do that? Just what we're talking about here. We're talking about he put time, energy, and invested in people and training. He that's what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people give a lot of lip service to the people stuff. But the minute they hear the people stuff, they go, you know what, we're just going to send that to HR or somebody else handle the people stuff. And if you are in a relationship, and that doesn't matter whether you're the manager or you're part of a team, if you're in the relationship, you are responsible for your piece in it.
I think that's absolutely true. By the way, the CEO of WD-40 is Gary Ridge, and he's all about growth through coaching, through training, through mentoring, but most importantly, we're talking about the people. One of the things we talked about, or he talked about the other day, was the values in an organization, right? Now, every organization has values, and a lot of them claim to live by their values, but I bet your research tells a lot different story than that.
Well, we do a whole bunch of stuff on values, and we do a whole bunch of stuff on value systems. And some of the research that's coming out is we are having a massive shift and transformation. And the next economy is going to be around those who are able to have relationships and be with one another effectively. And if you are not able to trade in the currency of connection and culture and connection, then you're going to fall behind. Because more and more, with the way our technological world works, we are not having the kinds of relationships we want to. More and more people are feeling lonely. They're feeling isolated. They're feeling left behind. They're feeling like they can't connect to this thing that's moving so fast.
Well, even on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I think, the second level up is like belonging, right?
Yeah.
So if we are not in an organization where we feel like we belong, which I believe most organizations have missed the boat on that, then people are leaving. Turnover is tremendous in some organizations. And others, it's better. But I think most people can do a whole bunch better, right?
Absolutely. And, there's this idea of, well, we know how good we're doing because we're looking at the bottom line numbers. Well, the bottom line numbers of today are the relationships of yesterday only showing up today. So that could have been the relationships from 18 months ago, 24 months ago, 36 months ago. So today's numbers aren't exactly showing today's culture and today's connections.
That's so interesting. Again, back to Gary Ridge, I was so impressed with him the other day. But, the reason I'm bringing him up is because this is what spiral dynamics is all about. This is what you do. You go into organizations, you help change the culture, you help them look at their values, you help them look at their and understand who they are, what their roles are, what their roles aren't, right?
Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
that correct?
And you're talking about a visionary leader,
Mm-hmm.
and there are visionary leaders like that. And one of the CEOs I was working with really took that message of empathetic connection to heart and transformed the organization that he was in charge of by taking responsibility for each of the relationships that he had to be involved in.
And I think that when we start, this is my hallucination, right? I always think we start with values. And one of the things that I liked about WD-40, their values were so laid out so easy. I'm just going to give you a couple of them, and I want to ask you about them. So they value doing the right thing, right? They value building lasting memories. They value making it better than it was today, right? They value things that most organizations are like, why would we value those things? We value bottom line results. We value people showing up and performing. We value people that stay late and give us all their heart and soul. That's what we value.
Yeah.
I think we got it wrong.
Well, I think what they're saying is these are the goals that are important to us, right? And you can say anything you want, but engaging people behaviorally, heart, mind, body, soul, behind those objectives and behind that vision takes a group of individuals coming together as a cohesive, well-functioning, well-oiled machine, firing on all cylinders, clicking together, passionately enjoying one another's company, with the ideas sparking with innovation and creativity to move towards those as goals.
Okay, I love that. Now listen, currently, Starbucks last week went out there and they shut down all the stores and they trained everybody on diversity. I think that's a good first stop, but I think there's more. What do you think?
Well, it's obvious that diversity is important to Starbucks because a number of years ago you'd get a survey that said, did your barista connect with you around diversity? And it's like, how can my barista connect with me around diversity when there are 20 people in line behind me? We can't have those conversations, right?
Right.
But this whole piece of let's do something about it is important. And diversity is about seeing people. And you can't do that around iPads, watching a university professor talk to you about, well, there are these differences and now do better, right? You have to connect differently and engage and shift and change your thinking, your mindset, your behaviors to get the outcome. And very often we nod because we go, yeah, well, that's important. We nod, but we don't do stuff that moves us in the trajectory of that shift.
That's great. Listen, if you just tuned in, I'm talking with Dr. Natasha Todorovic-Cowan. We're talking about conscious courage, the keys to success. And you can find more about Natasha. Let's give them your website and where they can get the resources.
Oh, you guys are more than welcome to come to www.spiraldynamics.org. We've got advanced resources. We've got books, whatever your interest is, whether it's teams or leadership or connection, collaboration. There's an article for you. We've even got stuff on terrorism.
Okay, so again, that's www.spiraldynamics.org. Spiraldynamics.org. Wow. This has gone so fast. I love this. So let me ask you this. There are some figures that show something like 93% of the population doesn't trust companies, right? Why is that?
Well, because they sit back, they watch what's happened. There are organizations that are creating body counts left, right, and center, not necessarily intentionally. We've got vast swaths of individuals who feel that their work is soul-crushing, and they get out of those organizations, and they see these bottom-line results being more important than the people that are at the ends of those numbers, in mergers and acquisitions, in organizational change, in shifts that organizations need to make in terms of market share. It keeps creating a body count. And when you're at the other end of that, you take the entire world of corporate America, you stick it in your head, and you go, this is a world that is soul-crushing, and there's a reason for it. They don't take care of people, and we don't trust them because money's the bottom line.
I get it. Listen, you know what? I know you were just on for 2 segments on our show. I'd like to invite you back on our final segment. Can you stick around in the studio?
I would be honored.
Okay,
I'd
good.
love it.
Well, listen, because I want to ask you about some of the key ingredients that go into your work and take people to a completely new level. Foster.
Are you feeling stuck or in a holding pattern with your business or life, and you're not doing the things you want or love? Then at some point, you're going to be faced with a decision. You'll either choose to keep living in your comfort zone and risk a life of mediocrity, or increase your courage, step into your power, and forge into the unknown, where everything new becomes possible. If you're truly ready to live masterfully, then you need Ken D. Foster's newest book, The Courage to Change Everything, Strategies and Wisdom to Transform Your Life One Day at a Time. This powerful but simple guide provides you with 365 days of life-transforming wisdom, profound questions, and action steps that will increase your strength and open the doors to success. Stop wondering why your business or life isn't working. The answers are available now. Imagine if you had more courage or another chance to start following your dreams. To pick up your copy of The Courage to Change Everything, visit thecouragetochangeeverything.com. That's thecouragetochangeeverything.com.
Would you like to help someone in need to move from poverty to prosperity? Stars of Courage, a 501c3 nonprofit, is looking for established life coaches with experience in education and career mentorship to build confidence and create clear paths to success. Join our team of experienced coaches in a wide variety of fields, equipped with warm hearts with a passion for lifting up those in need. Our Stars of Courage. Find out how you can make a difference at starsofcourage.org. That's starsofcourage.org. Attention business owners. The feeling of being overwhelmed, stressed out, and facing difficult business challenges goes hand in hand with being an entrepreneur. But there are solutions, and it's time to explore the possibilities. You work hard as an entrepreneur. Give yourself the break you deserve. Ken D. Foster is the business coach for you. Ken has over 21 years of experience with leaders just like you, who trust to share what is truly going on in their business and that thing called life. You're invited to set up a free confidential consultation with Ken. His wisdom, guided methods, and unique strategies will bring you to new heights and break through obstacles. Visit kendfoster.com to set up your free confidential consultation. It's time to achieve your dreams because you deserve a successful business and a balanced, happy life. Sound great? Find out how to make this happen. Visit kendfoster.com. That's kendfoster.com. kendfoster.com.
We're back with Voices of Courage. And now your host, Ken D. Foster.
Well, welcome back. I'm so glad you are tuned in today and stepping into your own courage, right? This show is all about what? Truth, integrity, courage, change. I love this show, and I love giving it to you because I've got such amazing guests that come on this show. And they help us see things in ways we've never been able to see them before, right? So, you heard in the commercial, I got a new book coming out. It's called The Courage to Change Everything, Strategies and Wisdom to Transform Your Life One Day at a Time. And I'd like to read you just a little segment from that book. This comes on day 237. I always start out with a quote. The quote of that day says this: It takes courage for people to listen to their own goodness and act upon it. And it comes from Pablo Casas. Successful people are characterized by wisdom and awareness. Those who lack awareness float through life on rough seas. Seemingly uncontrollable circumstances impact their lives. They rarely succeed in a lasting way. This ability which we all have is there to expand our awareness. It is developed through meditation, inspiration, and asking powerful questions, many of which can't be answered by the logical mind. Freedom is the goal. It is being free from negative habits, unconscious behaviors, and that keep us stuck in karmic patterns of failure, lack, and ongoing difficulties. Wouldn't you like to have great power over yourself? To be able to perceive, know, and do what boosts your success on a consistent basis? Why settle for imitations of success? You know, one day you have money, the next day you don't. One day you have a relationship, the next day you don't. One day you feel good, the next day you don't. Why not take your life to a completely new level and step into your power? So today, ask these 3 questions. What am I committed to doing differently to burst out of my self-imposed limitations? How is it possible for me to generate ongoing success beyond my thinking? What are the 3 steps I can do today to bring more awareness about how to personally succeed in all areas of life? And the actions, take time to introspect on what you know for sure about creating success. Then surrender to spirit, the timing, the struggle, and judgments of how success should show up for you. This will allow space for your wise self to provide what is impossible for you to accomplish alone. So I hope you'll check out the book. It's on the Courage to Change Everything.com, thecouragetochangeeverything.com. You can pre-order the book right now. And imagine 365 days. You get a little inspiration, you get hopefully a little wisdom, and you get some powerful questions and action steps to take your life in a new direction. Now, imagine what your life would be like in 1 year if you really applied those principles every single day. You would reprogram this thinking, and you would have more success in your life. That's why I wrote the book, and that's why I have people on my show like Dr. Natasha Todorovic-Cowan, who's here in studio with me right now, talking about spiral dynamics and how we can change the unchangeable. You know, you might be sitting in a company right now thinking, wow, I can see that I'm not going to be here much longer because I don't like the way that I'm treated. I don't like the way that I don't feel like I'm connected to the teams. I don't like the way that this company is operating. I need to maybe leave. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe you need to bring in Natasha so she can help you transform this organization.
Maybe we need to transform the way we're seeing and dealing and working with one another.
I think that is what we need to change.
And
right?
I congratulate you on your step of doing a new thing every day and sharing that wisdom with people through your book.
Thank you so
wonderful,
much.
Ken.
Thank you so much. You know, somebody told me a while back, if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur or really successful in life, do something every single day that you've never done. Right?
That's different. That shakes you out of your old mindset, your old habits, your old behaviors.
And it takes courage to do that.
It does.
I don't know about you. I don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, what can I do different that's going to take me out of my comfort zone and grow me? I don't necessarily want to do that, but I know this. By doing that on a consistent basis, my life gets better and better. And I look at a lot of people out there, and, I look at organizations, and people are just stagnant. They're almost like the Walking Dead.
Yeah, you're doing that all the time. You're in the trenches with people, with their broken hearts and broken dreams and, broken aspirations.
Yeah.
How many times do people kind of catch themselves in a place and go, darn it, how did I get here?
Well, listen, I don't know about you, but, I don't think we get to be amazing teachers or have any wisdom unless we've gone through some pretty difficult times. And
Absolutely.
I know I personally have. And I had to, there were times that I wanted to give up. I didn't want to move on. I was in poor relationships. I had several businesses that didn't make it, right?
Yeah.
And you lose a business, you've lost businesses. You know what that feels like, right?
Yep.
You lose your money, you lose your husbands or your wives or the friends that you thought you had. That stuff's tough. But the good news is there's something called courage that takes us to a completely new level when we tune into it, right? I mean, I like to ask people this, and I even ask you this, right? If you were courageous, Natasha, what would you do different today?
Well, every day I sit back and go, okay, what's this habit that I'm doing? And how do I shift this? And I mean, it really does take a comfort with being uncomfortable. You have to just kind of wrap your arms around it and go, you know what? I know this isn't comfortable, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because if we're not happy with the results that we have, the one thing we can change the way we do stuff. We can change the way we're thinking about stuff, and we can change our attitude to ourselves and towards others.
I was out in Puerto Vallarta, and I went and took a scuba diving class, and they taught me how to, in a pool, how to go down and put on the equipment and breathe properly and take off the weight belt if I needed to, right? And so I went out to the ocean, and it was about 15 people, and everybody jumped in the ocean, and we filled up our little life vest with air so we don't sink to the bottom. And then one by one, everybody went down underneath, and the idea was to wait for the instructor at the bottom, about 30 feet down. So I thought, okay, this should be easy. And I started to go down, and this feeling of panic came over me. And I popped back up to the surface. And then I thought, well, this is weird. I'm going to adjusted my mask. I'm going to go down again. So I tried to go down, and this massive panic came over me. And I thought, okay, what am I supposed to learn here? What am I supposed to do? And for me, it was to push through, right? Just push through. So I said, you know what? I feel like I'm going to die, but I'm going to die. I'm either going to die or I'm going to become a diver. And I went down the third time, and literally, I thought I was going to die. And about 15 feet down, it all passed. I think that it's a lot like, this story is a lot like what we all do when we're trying to change. If we don't put some pressure on ourselves, and if there's no pressure, everything's good, then you don't know what you don't know about yourself. You don't know what's stopping you. You don't know what limitations are there. I know Spiral Dynamics helps people become aware and conscious of their strengths and their weaknesses.
Well, it gives them a sense of what's going on internally in their worlds and helps them enter into others' worlds. So you're talking about really getting at your edge and pushing through and not letting that panic and that fear detract from the objective of, whatever, meeting your instructor at the bottom of, that sounded deep.
That was only 30 feet down.
Scary.
It felt deep to me too. But it's a lesson that I think we all need to know, that success doesn't come for the faint of heart. Success comes when we're willing to push our own boundaries, when we're willing to look at what our limiting beliefs are, what's been challenging us, whether as an individual or a corporation, because we're talking about teams and corporations and building. We have to get aware. See, you can't change anything you're not aware of.
Absolutely.
That I know of.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's nobody coming in to say, "Oh, I'm your savior here. I'm gonna change you."
No,
right?
only in fairy tales.
Only in fairy tales, right? That's why we all love for fairy tales. So.
Yeah. It gives us the hope somebody will save me finally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I know that we can all change, and I know that change is something that, although a lot of us fight it, change is coming, right? That's one thing we can count on.
It's going to come whether we want it or not, and sometimes it's done to you. So you're talking about being at that place where you've lost businesses and so on earlier.
Yeah.
Well, I was 23. I was like, I thought I was meeting my dream, matching, doing everything I wanted. I was in the fashion business. Everything was working. It was like glorious. NAFTA happened. My entire industry was wiped out overnight.
Wow.
So change can happen any time. And the more we are resilient, the more we're in touch with ourselves, the more we're in touch with others, the more effective we can be with that.
I love that. You're listening to Voices of Courage Radio, and we have as my guest Dr. Natasha Todorovic-Cowan. You can find out more about Natasha at spiraldynamics.org. That's spiraldynamics.org. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you so much, Ken. It's been a treat and a pleasure.
Will you come back?
I would love to. I love our conversations.
I do too. They're powerful. They're amazing. Listen, if you'd like to find out more about Voices of Courage, go to voicesofcourage.us, voicesofcourage.us, and please tell your friends about us on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us on Voices of Courage on Facebook, or you can go to my personal site at Ken Foster. Just look up Ken D. Foster on Facebook. So, love ya. Love you all, man. And I want to say this. Until next time, live courageously and see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible.
Thanks for joining us for Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster. Learn more about Ken, how to be a guest on the show, and sponsorship opportunities by visiting voicesofcourage.us. Be sure to join us next Sunday at 10 a.m. as Ken brings more stories of courage that will inspire greatness within you and change your life for the better. This has been Voices of Courage with Ken D. Foster.
I love